One more series to go here for day 2 of the Mid-Season Brawl group stage, and oh boy, is it a big one. We are going to have L5 going up against Dignitas to find out who is going to be getting those rich and lovely points, unless they only go draw and they only get 1 point. We shall find out in just a little bit. I'm joined at the analysis concave by Mr. Trixler, who keeps sitting really far away from me when he's here. We have Jhow, and we do have Grubby. Wave at yourself.
I can't.
I mean, there you go. That was weird.
You'll just think I'm on fire.
That was weird. You're right.
I just want to greet everyone. I know where I am.
You waved at them, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, but it's the first time I've been here with Trixler.
Oh, right.
I'm like, let's wave at him. Let's welcome him.
Okay. Anyway, back on point.
Thanks,
as quickly as possible. L5 going up against Dignitas. So far, the Group B has shaped up in an interesting fashion. We've had some upsets. But let's talk about where Dignitas is right now, because that is a big deal.
Right over there.
They are right over there. That's a good point.
I can see them from here, Kalaris.
Grubby's on fire right now.
Yeah, Grubby's currently in goofy mode.
Yes! I'm about to take this headset off.
Oh, metaphorically. Sorry, I'm from the Netherlands. Go on.
Yes, yeah. That's how it works, is it? Okay, so they did lose yesterday. They lost against E-Star. Admittedly, now that we've seen E-Star in 2 series, that's not a huge deal considering the E-Star that we have seen so far, and now they go up against L5. Dignitas is starting off this group stage hard and rocky by the looks of things.
Yeah, I don't think many were expecting him to be that rough off starting off the first series. This is a team that did well at the Western Clash, has been great in the HGC the last couple of weeks, and it felt like they were a team that's been gelling and really coming together. And E-Star had something to say about that. You know, I talked to Bakery a little bit earlier, and I was like, "Hey, what happened yesterday?" And he goes, "A little bit of everything. Things just didn't work out too well for us." And I asked him how he felt today against L5, and he mentioned, "You know what? We feel the same as we did yesterday against E-Star, except this time, hopefully, things don't go as poorly, and maybe we can get a 1-1 here."
They certainly took an interesting direction to the drafts when it came up against E-Star yesterday. They had a spot where they had the Gul'dan Johanna rotation very early on in the draft compared to almost everything we've seen before. Is that something that maybe they have to change coming into today?
I mean, they might have to. It kind of depends where they nestle that a little bit of everything went wrong. Do they think... I mean, I think everything is a part of everything, right? That would include the draft.
Yeah.
If a little of everything went wrong, then maybe that Gul'dan... I'm too literal.
Keep
still.
going. Keep going.
Gul'dan right now, he hasn't got any victories yet. Johanna's done a little bit better, but it's not just that. We saw like Kerrigan coming out. Is Kerrigan still good on Infernal Shrines? There we are. I'm just...
You're all over the place, and I'm stopping you right now. You've got loony.
Let's go.
All right, anyway, regardless, we're going to take a look at our first team here going into this series. It is, of course, L5.
좀 성적에 연연 안 하고 저희끼리 좀 즐기면서 하는 게 장점인 것 같아요. 좀 다른 팀보다 연습량이 최근 들어는 좀 요새 소홀한 것 같아요. 그래서 그게 지금부터는 여기 스웨덴에 와서는 많이 할 거지만 만약에 지게 된다면 그 전에 좀 소홀했던 게 문제가 되지 않을까 생각해요. 뉴신트를 나누면 이기면 사실 프로게이머라면 그냥 상대보다 우리가 더 게임 잘하는 거 보여주는 게 더 재밌어요. 사람들한테 보여주는 게. 저희 팀의 키플레이어는 정하고 저희 팀의 하는 역할도 되게 많고 좀 1대1 라인전도 강하다고 생각해서 저희 팀 키플레이인 것 같아요. 가장 경기한 팀은 MVP 블랙이고 그 이유는 아무래도 저희랑 많이 해봤고 저희가 가장 많이 진 팀이기 때문에 경기가 되는 것 같아요.
That is L5 here, a fearsome team. They have been a dominating team for quite a while, and there is that age-old question of Korea going up against Europe, especially ever since last BlizzCon, and now they look to stand against Team Dignitas. Guys, what can you tell me about L5?
L5's been dominant. I mean, yesterday against Soul Torturers, they were the most explosive of the day for sure. And I'm assuming you can expect more today as well. L5 seem to be the most serious about this tournament besides Fnatic.
I was really surprised at the comments there in the interview on how they haven't really practiced much leading up to this. And this has been one of the more disciplined, one of the more well-rounded teams, and Is it something of attrition, right? To where you've been at the top so long that you feel like you don't have to do much, or are you just tired of winning? Like, what's really going on there? There's been some other reports coming out in the last 24 hours. So all of a sudden, there's a huge red flag for this team.
Yeah, one way or another, this team is going to end their trip here, right? Like, they're...
As a collective.
Yeah, as a collective. Like, they're not going to go on together. So... whatever they have built up so far, they need to channel that power. And so far, yesterday, they did. It doesn't seem to bother them that they're at the very crescent of their, like the very summit of their career. They've won a lot of stuff. Maybe not as much as MVP Black, but when they won, they looked so dominant. The question is, will Dignitas play stronger against a tougher opponent than they did yesterday in E-Star? Because L5, probably #1 favorite of the tournament. Will this bring Dignitas up to L5's level?
We'll find out in just a few moments, of course, as we do have our second team going into this series all the way from Europe, which isn't that far because we're in Europe. It's Dignitas.
I think our key player for this event is going to be Xalia. He's our newest addition to the team, and we picked him up almost as a rookie just because we saw so much potential. And in this tournament, if Xalia gets to dictate the pace of the game and play his best heroes, I really think he can show something special. I think our team's strengths are mainly in team fighting and synergy. Every time we try and make a play or we try and make a set piece happen, everyone instantly knows what's going to go down and what they need to do to make it better. I think we have the best team fighting in the world. One of the weaknesses of our team is that sometimes we can be slow to adapt in the draft. Our team is very focused on patterns and history, and if we don't see a reason for a pick, then we can just kind of deny that it's a good pick. I think our biggest fear for this event would be MVP Black. We do know that Korea is weaker than before. We're not scared, but we're definitely keeping our eyes on them.
Hearing from good old Baker Boy there as the Team Dignitas get ready to go into this series. There's no doubt it was shaky yesterday, absolutely. But now they've got to come into day 2 with a fresh mind, a fresh attitude. They have been scrimming against the Koreans. That's no kind of secret realistically, because the Koreans and the Europeans respect each other so much. So what do they have to focus on in this match against L5?
I think being flexible is probably the #1 thing. Yesterday in game #1, they played a little bit on the different side with the Kerrigan. We haven't seen a Kerrigan from Xalia since week 4 in the HGC, if I remember correctly, and they pulled it out here in the mid-season brawl. Didn't pan out, not because Xalia wasn't playing well, but because seriously, E-Star shut them down. And then game #2, it was simply draft preparation that really hurt them. The Chromie, I think, was about to be picked up in that 4th and 5th slot, and the Chromie ban was so good from E-Star that it really threw Dignitas off. So today, I expect them to be a little bit more flexible and have more tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah, and another thing about Dignitas, they're really good at using the standard meta as soon as they understand what it is.
True.
Yes.
Saw a little bit of early 2017, late 2016 from Dignitas yesterday in a few archaic hero picks. I think they've had a lot of data to study in the games today and yesterday, and they are good. They adapt well. They're flexible, wide hero pools. I think we're going to see a little bit of a different Dignitas in this draft.
For me, though, I do believe that they tend to adapt, but they always somehow fall back on that double warrior Arthas train that
That's fine.
has been around. But that's what I'm saying is, like, are they actually truly flexible enough? When we talk to Xalia, he's like, you know, I'm trying to wait for those moments to where I can get on more heroes. And he's like, I feel like my hero pool is still expanding because his melee role is a new role to him since he started on Dignitas.
It felt like, there has been moments in Dignitas' past where going into drafts, it's very common that we see Bakery's role prioritized as drafts early on. And we saw that yesterday. And then from that point on, Many is very well known for his mages to come out in these drafts as well. So do you think there will be any shakeup in those positions, or do you think that they will be heavily prioritizing their spots once again going into the drafts?
Well, you mentioned those mages, Kylaris, and that's kind of interesting because there hasn't been a whole lot of mage emphasis coming out of the teams with the victory so far.
True, very true.
We've seen Vala, Greymane, Genji, none of them really the mages. We've seen Zeratul, Illidan. And so having such a renowned, good mage player isn't helping Dignitas so far, at least,
Seems
as much.
Yeah.
But they still have more arguments to this case. Maybe they can still make a believer out of the meta. Let's see.
They take the Anub'arak, which is a good start when you think, considering that he's one of the best mage counters. But on the other side, L5 has a long-standing tradition to draft Tyrael, especially on this battleground.
Yep.
And so he is one of the other few warriors that has that built-in spell armor. So he does well against mages. So we'll see if that is an early prioritization, knowing that Mene loves those mage heroes.
I mean, I'm just simply happy to see a little bit of a Korean draft / Europe draft here. First off, the Volibear is definitely very Korea aimed here. Okay, Vol is played very often in the Korean scene or even the Asian scene to the side of the world here. And then Anub'arak is very European. Anub'arak first pick, very worthy for a lot of pickups. We're going to have the Genji and Malfurion on the left side here for L5.
And this is no surprise that already L5 is taking Bakery off a bit of the current comforts. Malfurion and Nuthra are absolutely where he is going to right now. So where does Bakery fit in all of this right now?
I think Rhaegar is an extremely comfortable pick for him. I love watching Bakery's Rhaegar. I think he knows when to be aggressive versus when not to be aggressive, but I don't think you can truly ban him out of that. He can always fall back on Kerazim, which does well on this battleground, but as to be expected, Greymane for Snitch, Li Ming for Mene.
Does this make more sense that the Anub'arak comes in so early so that they can enable the mage?
This is definitely the plan so far, Kalaris, because like right now they're centering their draft around top meta, which is Anub, and around Mene. They're like, let's put Mene on a hero that we like for him to be, and the only way that's possible is taking Anub'arak.
Yeah.
At the same time that it's showing like a good game plan, it's also showing a kind of inflexibility where you gotta open it that way. But this is their plan for now. They've got 2 good damage dealers in Greymane and Li Ming. Now, they had Li Ming yesterday against E-Star, and it kind of didn't work against the double support that E-Star was running in Ariel and Tyrael and Uther. It was actually kind of 2.5 support.
Yeah.
So far, though, with L5 going Genji, what is far more likely to be coming out is a Tyrael pick. If Dignitas doesn't ban Tyrael in this rotation, I expect L5 to take Tyrael and someone else.
But this is the thing. L5 generally runs a double warrior composition. I love the Tyrael ban. It does so well for L5, and it does a lot against Dignitas, but their fallback options, Noblesse, known for playing Muradin, will likely be one of the pickups, but I wonder if we'll see either Arthas or Artanis, which is something they have picked in the past and does really well on this map.
For me, I think I would love to see L5 move into the Muradin / Arthas right here. First off, because Arthas would be a pickup for Dignitas. They love to run double warrior control on this battleground, especially with them having both from Li Ming and Greymane. L5 would be in a really good spot here where they have their double warrior they're used to, and they would also hurt Dignitas' draft that they would normally go for on this battleground in particular.
Yeah, because they don't have to worry about losing damage, right? Dignitas already has all their damage, so it would be a very comfortable and draft-wise thing to do to go ahead and pick up those double warriors and then just flex whatever, because you're not going to have it banned out. It's not going to be picked away from you. So prioritizing, I think, the front line is exactly what they need to do.
Interesting. Falstad. Double global battlefield of small eternity. I mean, this is not a big map. These globals is an interesting approach. So what is their game plan? Getting non-stop experience soak where experience is limited, just a 2-lane map.
That, and also Falstad's pretty effective at burning down the Immortal himself. You wouldn't think of him as strong as, say, Greymane or even Vol to a degree with Hungering Arrow build, but still, when Falstad wants to commit, he can put out his own damage pretty darn well there.
Well, he's okay. He's above average. He's not Greymane level.
So, now that the Rhaegar is banned, are we seeing a good old Bakery Kerazim? It's been a long time.
Could be Stitches Tyrande, I guess.
This is new Tyrande,
Western clash, but yeah, Tyrande against Genji, that is tough. Genji and the Haka flanks. I think you're right. It can't be Morales. It can't be Tyrande. They cannot protect themselves. So it's gotta be Kerazim. Is there anyone else?
Lucio, but
I think they're really thinking about the Arthas pickup, and they do go with Arthas. I love this a lot. It'll force Muradin on L5 unless they just have something crazy they're going to pull out here. But Arthas and Anub'arak have great defensive and offensive structure to them, is that they can both engage in their own individual rights, but they can also both defend in a very crucial way. You're going to think about Genji flanking, but Falstad he's not going to just hard engage on any team.
Yeah.
But Arthas has the built-in physical armor, so will we see the hammering build, which, against double frontline, potentially triple with Kerazim up there, it might work out, but we're talking about immortal damage, where Seasoned Marksman tends to be the preferred talent choice.
Also, the Beetles from Anub'arak and the Ghouls from Arthas provide blockers against Genji's Shurikens.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool. Now, L5, I suspect they will get Muradin, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they need probably a proper frontliner compared to just having the Daka alone, right?
Yeah, especially with Arthas being here, Artanis is not an option for them anymore. I think I agree with you. Muradin is the way to go for them.
It could be Varian, but I don't know.
They're spending a lot of time. Yeah.
There we go.
They could have just been discussing strategy. My mind probably would have been blown if they didn't fall back on Muradin. Noblesse Muradin, it's basically been synonymous for a long time, but then, we got this new meta, but they still always fall back to Muradin.
All right, so looking at the drafts, guys, what are your initial impressions of how this game might go? It's been one of the least Battlefield of Eternity drafts I've seen on Battlefield of Eternity.
And that's L5's fault, let's say, or strategy, their devious plan. Double global on BOE, we don't really see this. Sometimes we see off-soak in a Dahaka or Fall, or like a Zeratul, but this is new territory. So I'm actually just really excited to see where they take this.
I'm really impressed with the drafting from Dignitas, the appropriate bans, the draft prioritization, I think, was key with the first pick of Nubrak, knowing that you'd be falling back into something from NA. So the denial of the Warrior, the pickup of the Warrior, I think, are extremely crucial to what Dignitas does.
Predictions, Trick, starting with you.
I'm going straight with Dig here, man. I think they have something they're comfortable with. This is what I've known to see from them the last few weeks, and it's not what we saw yesterday. So this is a positive for me. I'm going for Dig.
I love L5 and everything that they do. But I just have a feeling with this draft, Dignitas has as good a chance as any. I'm going with Dignitas.
I think Dignitas really steps up when they have a powerful opponent, and this is definitely the case. And they've got just about everything they wanted from their draft. They've got their double warrior. It's really playing to their strengths and also resides within the meta, so this is good. But L5, they took me off guard here with the double global, and it doesn't look they were forced on it either. So I think they have a plan. I'm going to go with L5.
All right, thank you very much, gents. Of course, we can check in with what chat thinks as we have the hashtags rolling.
Wow.
It's so close. How does this keep happening? It's like every general election as of late. But anyway, for now, we are going to head over to our commentary team as we have Dread and, of course, Techa waiting to cast this awesome game between Dig and L5.
Thank you very much, guys. It is indeed going to be an awesome game. Casters split about as down the middle as 3 caster sets can do. The chat split down the middle, and we're going to get into this first game in this best of 2 series.
And to start it off here on the blue side is L5. SCSC on Genji, Swoi playing Malfurion, Jungha on Dahaka, Nacho Jin on Falstead, and Muradin played as always by Noblesse.
Whereas on the right-hand side from Europe, it's Team Dignitas with JPL on Anubarak, Snitch on Greymane, Maina on Li Ming, Zalia on Arthas, and Bakery on Karazim. It's like 2015 all over again for Bakery.
And everybody, as you said, on the analyst desk just seemed to be kind of torn. I mean, we ended up with 3 Dignitas votes, but everyone is so like, this is going to be so close. And I mean, I agree. This draft from Dignitas was very proper. It has a lot of things that are into their strengths and can deal with L5's composition. But again, it is L5. These guys are a phenomenal team.
So an interesting move there. We see Falstad going with the Gathering Storm at level 1. Now, what you would sometimes see with this talent is the Falstad would fly right up to the enemy gate and attempt to get a couple free stacks to the enemies come through it. He didn't, because you can't do that against the Nubarak and Greymane and Karazim. You will explode if you take that risk. So very good game sense by the Falstad.
Yeah, and what it also does is show a bit of, what we expect to see out of this Falstad player. Just by, on Battlefield of Eternity, you can go for the Season Marksman for the side soak, but only 2 lanes. It's unlikely to be able to get a lot of those minions. But going the Gathering Storm, he's going to be hanging out in the mid. He's going to be looking for that poke with the Boomerang, and that is going to be able to aid in their Immortal race.
Yes, he will, and the Immortal race is all that important. Like we are looking at this draft here, Dignitas has a more traditional Battlefield of Eternity draft here, and they're actually using it to great effect right now, putting some huge pressure onto those bottom towers, but Genji attempting to harass back.
And a lot of that came down to the rotation there out of the Falstad. Once we saw that immediate flight on the top, the question is, was the pressure applied there into the northern lane better than what we saw out of Dignitas' 4-man? I'm going to say Dig, I think, did slightly pull ahead But alas, it could be just not worth it depending on what we see into this next Immortal phase, because that really is where the power and snowball begins on BOE.
We will see. Mayna has tapped Fountain, giving us up some mana. Noblesse with an immediate stun, but it's onto JPL. Nubrak, no way is going down as of yet, holding down the fort here, as we are seeing Dignitas beginning with a slight defense, but Arthur's already just hovering around the L5 Immortal here, but instead going to move up to the top lane.
Yeah, just a full defensive approach here for Team Dignitas. I'm torn on whether or not I appreciate it, just because the Dahaka into the Arthas does seem like a bit of a stall, and in the long run, it does like the Genji with the mobility, with the double global, that if Dignitas wants to stall this out with no pressure onto their Immortal, it's only a matter of time before someone gets ganked and killed. Granted, this was a weak attempt, but you saw the thought process there. And Dignitas, I would like to see them, maybe put a bit more pressure, at least if not onto the Immortal, to bot lane.
Yeah, even Nacho Jin flew up to that top lane. Like you said, it was a bit of a miss attempt, but they did try, and that is what this looks like it's going to end up being. Right now, though, we're seeing L5 putting a bit of pressure onto that Immortal as Dignitas attempted to push in the bot lane. Nice jump by SCSC to escape.
Yeah, he's going to be able to draw a bit of aggro, and again, they, restore the attention of Team Dignitas onto bottom, but they go in this time. Howling Blast hits, but the barrel roll was over the wall, so Natojin is going to be fine. Stun. They're landing onto Snitch.
Snitch is taking huge damage. Greymade attempting to escape, as we do see all of the shuriken from Genji, but they've been able to pull back. Bakery with the heal, but look at the mana amounts. JPL and Bakery are out here. They're having to retreat. Bakery gets denied the B. SCSC saw that. Not the best being position there.
And even with that, I mean, Dignitas, Bakery backing or not, it really didn't change too much, because now L5 has full opportunity to be able to wail away here on to the Immortal itself. They have secured themselves, roughly that 33% here onto the shielding, and Experience sitting dead even. L5 right now, for their composition, they have done a decent job, but also Dignitas, they're more worried about the 10, so it's okay that they haven't lost too heavily at any point here so far.
Indeed, they have some great poke as well. Li Ming and Greyming going to be able to stay quite safe while poking down this Immortal. The one person who really can't is Arthas, and you see he's already moved up to the top lane once again to meet up with Dahaka. Stun onto a Nubrak, but easy burrow. Not too much danger there. The harassment continues. Shield already burst down. It had a half health shield, as Dignitas were able to do a bit of burst to L5's Immortal.
Yeah, and so L5, they understand that, there's not too much to be gained unless anybody on the side of Dignitas wants to step out too far. Looks like they're not too interested here. Just, again, with Genji compositions, he just doesn't do much in the siege department, so you have to make up for it elsewhere. We live in a double warrior, double melee meta minimum.
Ooh, Genji getting engaged upon. SCSC dropping the deflect, easily able to dash away. But the harassment and the aggression being shown by Dignitas. JPL very prepared to try and catch anyone who's out of position.
Yeah, and as I was saying, just because we are in that type of meta, a lot of it comes down to sieging and defending, are a little bit different than we've seen in the past. It's more, rather than poke, 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 eventually obtain a structure, it's more about just looking for a hard engage and getting that pick. But you found something here.
I did. We are seeing Hero Stalker coming out of Dahaka. He is looking for kills and picks here, as opposed to going for the minion one, and that's fair. You're going to be fighting a lot over the Immortals in the center of the map, where you're not going to get the minions.
It's one of those things where, for the second time here, nice drag. Zaylee ends up hitting the Howling Blast, forcing the passive out of Zheng Ha, which again is going to be harder to obtain because you gain less from the minions that we've seen traditionally. But now that's the second talent out of L5, understanding the map, understanding that it is unlikely for them to get a lot of minions and gain value out of those, and they commit more towards the hero aspect with Gathering Storm and, as you said, the hero stuff.
Yeah, both of these teams are attempting to, by the looks of it, to try and pick up little gank kills every now and again. In fact, we see a big move up from Dignitas, but Genji scouts it out, and we see Jongha and Nacho Jin already pulling back, not going to get caught out. In the meantime, Swoya Noblesse easily clearing this up. Going to take a little bit longer to deal with that Khazra camp, but they will get it. That is Piercing Bolt coming out of Muradin.
It is going to be the Piercing Bolt. Typically, when we see that style of build, it's going to be paired with the Sledgehammer.
Yeah, but they haven't. They've gone with Thunderburn instead for a bit more team fight potential, so I guess it's just the double stun.
Yeah, it is heavy focus onto the double stun. Yeah, we've seen full Stormbolt build from all parts of the world, really. And so it is a bit of a hybrid here for Noblesse, but, having the Thunderburn will be able to benefit the team fight significantly more. It just removes the race here. for this team, so it's going to come down to the poke, looking to the initiation, and again, the ganks between that double global and Genji, which we're yet to really see ever come to light.
Yeah, so far both teams have been attempting to grab people, but haven't had the chance. Still 0-0 in kills. Right now, JPL stunned up, but he is a Dubrak, and he doesn't care. He's able to pull back to safety, and he's in good position. Nice magic missiles there by Mena, forcing the heal onto Nacho Jin.
Yeah, that was really good to be able to get that poke if they can draw resources, but also Malfurion is one of the best healers into that style of poke as long as you don't apply a pressure immediately after, letting, you know, the hot come into value or come into play and be able to heal you over time. We see the double global working right now. Falstead clears through bot, Dahako clearing onto top. And just with the Genji, with the Murden, they have such lethality that they're scaring Dignitas to be able to group together and even aggressing. Nice dodge there from on the roof from Bakery.
Big move in there from Nacho Jongha from above, and everyone was able to escape. Zelia trying to find SCSC, but easily able to jump away with that cyber agility.
Yeah, this is a moment where Dignitas wants to try and find a way to be able to move in. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't understand exactly what L5 was going for with the double global onto this map, but now seeing it into play, it is very apparent. Genji, Murden, and Malfurion together have enough threat level that nobody on the side of Dignitas wants to back out and, you know, let that 3 versus 3 happen, because we've seen what Genji can do in those type of circumstances. So you soak the side lanes, you wait until they respond to you, double global collapse in, thank you for the halftime show. L5 right now is looking crisp. It's different for them, you know, but they're known as a better macro team, at least out of the Korean scene.
Deflection used on Genji, stun onto JPL, preventing too much damage, but in comes Noblesse. That's a haymaker onto Snitch. Both teams with their heroics. Dignitas able to dodge all of the stuns as Noblesse moves back in. Jongha taking a lot of damage. Zalia getting focused out. There's the gust. The palm is dropped. Zalia pulling back with the army dead. He's able to survive. They drag in the Grey go, and he is taken out with the silence. No heals from Bakery, and Genji is going big, trying to take that Bakery. Can't catch him. They find JPL though. He burrows out, tries to survive, but they finish him off as well, looking for Zalia too.
SCSC has just been dancing all over Team Dignitas here, now getting a 4-for-nothing trade. L5, they were patient for the first 7 minutes, but eventually getting annoyed, saying, Dignitas, we're fine, we're going to take our Immortal. Bakery, you see him trying to rid as much of the shielding as they possibly can, but he stalled for a moment.
Yeah, taking a little bit of harassment from Nacho Jin, but like you said, was able to stall and lower some of that shield. That gust, perfect. Don't proc the palm. The Army of the Dead, though, still heals him up, but it was down to Jongha with that drag and the perfect Twilight Dream follow-up from Soy that really turned that fight in L5's favor.
And though that palm did not actually end up getting the kill in that situation, it was a still great palm coming up from Bakery purely because he was affected there by the gust and he dropped it.
SCSC, he's still going for more.
Oh my goodness, he's just stunting on these nerds, dude. My goodness.
The Stormbolt lands, drag onto a noob, but it's a noob, and he is able to tunnel away. JPL getting out and barely saving Snitch.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, we can see the Immortal in its natural habitat. Ripping through the fort's bottom, L5 is going to get the split pressure. It's a double 4 play, a talent tier advantage in a level and a half. L5, man, one fight was all it was taken. Now they seem to have just absolute control. Dignitas needs to find a way to turn this around.
They need to find something. They're spending some time clearing up the Immortal first. As such, bot lane is getting wrecked. The tower's going to go down. Gate will probably die as well, but L5 not going to stick around too long. They're just going to let the gate go. Jay was looking for something. They do a bit of harassment onto Jongha, but he is able to survive once again because Dahaka
they don't
pulling
have
back.
Arthas. Arthas is making,
he's wrapping around. He's looking for a gank.
L5 is going to turn so hard if they do this before Arthas gets here. Man,
he's coming. I don't think they know. Oh, Noblesse is in position. They have Haymaker stun onto Genji, who just fully stacked his shuriken there. Here comes Zalia from the side, immediately moving in, but a good cleanse onto Nacho Jin. Instead, everyone is going to disengage here. Neither team able to find the isolation they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely clutch cleanse there coming up from Soy, allowing Nacho Jin to be able to survive that situation. And you saw Dignitas essentially assuming that the cocoon would be enough for them not only to force the fight, but even the scales until Arthas found his way down there. But another fight Dignitas desires and is not going to be given. It really is kind of the name of the game. It's just been watch L5 dance around the map until Dignitas goes, we would really like this, and then L5 goes, all right, we're taking this away, not giving it to you here. Split the pressure once more, wait till Dignitas comes back with it, and it's just rinse and repeat. When is Dignitas going to get that fight? They have to go somewhere where L5 doesn't expect them. Otherwise, this is just going to keep happening.
Dignitas are just getting further and further behind. Like I said, Jongha was in top, and they still retreated in the 4 versus 5 there. Dignitas not in the situation to fight. They're still behind their 13s, as L5 have already hit 15. They're on their way to that next talent tier, as the Immortals are just about to spawn.
And, you know, I'd like to be able to say, well, at least Team Dignitas has the ability to try and maybe soak the side lanes and, you know, get that 13, force the fight up until the 16 mark happens, but they don't have any globals. If somehow that ends up going down, L5 does the same thing. The double globals get the side soak, they lock in the 16, and then that's when they decide to commit, which is exactly what they're doing. The Haka's top, Falstead's bottom. We'll let you know when we're interested whatsoever.
Noblesse stepping up the kill potential. Thunder Strike at level 13 here, going for that extra 300% damage. A little bit harder to hit due to the fact that beetles and zombies, but it can do some crazy damage if you ever get someone.
This is a legitimately like 4-5 second window that Dignitas gets 13 and they have to all in or get a pick. The Haka is going to be the focus here. They end up going up towards top.
He's tunneling out. They're turning around. They're turning around, trying to get onto the Immortal instead. Noblesse from behind. Haymaker, but Snitch doesn't make it over the wall. Instead, it's Bakery getting dragged. The Coon already dropped. Noblesse doesn't make it over either. He's a bit out of the fight for now. Pops it. SESC back in the fight. Gust is used. Completely separated the team. Zalia focused down. Genji trying to get the shurikens onto him. Army the Dead keeping Zalia alive.
He's alive! He survives! He is the Frankenstein Arthas! He is just a monster! They keep it up, but L5, they're this close!
There's the starter noob looking for something. JPL trying to lock him down. Snitch going in, but he's just taking too much damage. 16 is just about to be hit. Dig have to back up.
My goodness, everyone manages to survive, but the 16 is ticking upward. L5 is about to get it. They catch Noblesse.
They get Noblesse.
Dignitas, they have a window here. Can they get any kind of zone?
The Immortal's gonna they're trying to move in. The Immortal's got no health. Swoi is getting chunked by Bakery, but he doesn't have the dash. Goes in. Can't land it. Swoi is still alive. JPL's out about it. They finally kill him off. Maida from the side.
He didn't get the Howling Blast because he doesn't have the distance at 1. It was unable to hit the Malfurion.
And now, Dignitas, they did end up killing Swoi, but look at that, 1,000 HP remaining on the Immortal.
Jongha, he may die for this, though. He's getting body blocked here. Never mind. Gust coming in from Nacho Jin there, and, well, the Haka's out.
The Haka is out. 18 seconds will find Swoi back into the battlefield. Dignitas is nowhere near the 16 talent tier. And with the offense we see out of L5, that's a reasonable amount of shielding. It's a minimum double key play, I feel like, here for L5. Just because they have the global pressure, they've already accented bottom. They did burn a flight here, and it was shown just by the fact that they knew Nacho Jin flow because that minion.
One minion maybe should have been cleared, but either way, it's very visible now. There's still Genji up in the top lane. It's going to be a 3-man push in bot as they attempt to kill SCSC. He is defending. He's dashing out.
I'm
the bat
so
trying to kill him.
Disgusted.
Bakery's still going. He still wants it, but he can't catch up.
That was 1 versus 5.
And he lived. SCSC, coming to a Heroes of the Storm near you.
I hope not, dude. There's no way I'm good enough at the video game to deal with that. Goodbye, MMR. Gosh.
Oh, man. So we have the heavy impact from Muradin. He is just going for a very all-in build. Whoever Noblesse is able to isolate, very good chance of them dying. So far, though, Greymaid, at least, has been able to survive it quite well. He has been the target multiple times.
Yeah, you know, I think that is a good way to describe just the entire game here for Dignitas. They've been able to survive it.
Quite well.
But they aren't doing anything, right? It sounds...
They're holding on, but they're not achieving.
Exactly, you know? It's just... Dignitas, I would like to see, much like, you know, we've seen from other teams here today, when you hit a moment where the entire game you aren't winning, but you aren't necessarily losing, it hits a moment where if you don't have a blatant power spike, you just gotta accept your fate. It could be the game-losing fight, but it's your best one.
Yeah.
And go ahead and take that, because what you've been doing so far for 15 minutes right now is just not been working here.
It isn't, and their next opportunity is coming up. They will hit 16 before L5 hits 20, unless something goes severely wrong here. So Dignitas, they're just playing safe for the moment. This is the opportunity where they should. They're waiting it out, soaking up to their 60, clearing out the lanes. They're already down to keep. Their second one, though, is getting poked.
Yeah, though, even with just ignoring the fact that this keep is going to be a threat and the advantage elsewhere without the 16.
Dahak is just solo pushing.
And the Immortals up in 20 seconds. I mean, legitimately, if you were going to paint a picture of like worst case scenario of a mini-map right now, L5 is nearly enforcing that over Dignitas.
Their core is taking some harassment. Catapults are on the way for the first time. 16 is a smidgen away. There it is, achieved by Dignitas. So their opportunity is basically this Immortal fight, but first, bot still pushing.
Bot is still pushing, and that's going to lead to not only Xaylia back there with Mene to be able to rid of the pressure, but also a very easy damage going into the Immortal. Will they be able to get the entire half? If they get the entire thing, that is huge.
We see a route onto Dahaka, tries to drag in JPL, but he is holding through. SCSC from the side, bot lane. More catapults moving in. JPL goes onto SCSC, deflect is dropped. Oh, Snitch goes very deep. There's the silence, and the palm dropped on him. Snitch will survive this, as does everyone else, as usual.
But look at the core. Falstad is actually moving in, just trying to aid it.
He's just keeping up the pressure. He's like, let me know.
No one's there. No one can really go back and deal with this. Looks like it might be Greymage, seeing as he was dropped a bit low on health there. So it's going to be up to Greymage to clear this as Dignitas' core starts to take shield damage.
Yeah, now look at Falstad on his own. Actually, he's going to die.
No.
He's going to go 100%.
Fly. When does fly up?
I used the word 100%. I regret it.
Oh, dead.
All right, so now
100%. There we go.
Okay, good.
The ball is right again.
I was gonna say the same thing on 1 vs 5 Genji, and he proved me wrong though. So you know, apparently Caster Math has been a smidge off here today, but L5 is still very comfortable because of how big of a lead they have. They have the global pressure, and Dignitas is doing nothing.
Oh, Genji died. I don't know where, but
that was beautiful. The fact, I mean, they're all over the place. The global pressure that they're splitting out here, but the fact that they're able to get that pick, Dignitas,
they're finally going to do some Immortal damage.
Yes, they are finally getting things going their way, but it's too soon here for BOE with the members available for L5 to really say, you know, that this is going to be the momentum swing, because L5, not only this pressure on top, that's going to lead to a keep, but it will lead to 20
the fruit prevents the Dwarf Toss. There's no Avatar. If they can lock him down, there's no Avatar. There's no healing static. They get it. And they have a Cocoon. Let's just sit and wait. Dignitas get the Immortal. They get the kill eventually. Oh, hello, Bolt of the Storm, Swoy trying to escape, Bakery going deep, gets the kill with the last bit of the It's not Jojin looking for Bakery, but Bakery survives. Xaylia tanking the fort to give him a chance to escape, and now Snitch is in trouble. He's getting dragged in. The displacement from Maida. Snitch gonna take a bit of, doesn't even take the fort damage. He still gets out.
And now the Immortal is being pressured up towards top, because during that time, Dignitas managed to get their very first of the game. What can they make happen with it? Because now down 2 keeps. The pressure of the catapults is going to be eternal, not even considering, again, the double global now is a thing. I mean, Dignitas, essentially this Immortal was really the only one where they were realistically going to get it without too much pressure onto the core. So once more, they had a miracle stretch there for the last 3 minutes, and sadly, I hate to say this, but they're going to have to do it again.
They are, but they're going to have 20 by the time the next Immortal comes up, assuming that they're able to soak well enough here. And with the lanes being so pushed up and with more mercenaries being taken, that's looking like a very big possibility.
Yeah, the 20 is realistic. My fear is the fact that we have a Dahaka in the Falstad. Again, the double global is the catapults will maybe not be relevant in the first 2 minutes of the Immortal fight, but by the third, with the Falstad aiding them, with the Dahaka aiding them, it's inevitable that Dignitas goes, somebody has to back, and that's where I expect L5 to thrive.
Yeah, and Dig's entire comp so far has been, let's delay at the Immortal fight. They can't afford to do that anymore. They have to take these fights, and that is so dangerous in this scenario when they don't have 20. Right now, L5 just own the map. They're going to take away this Fallen Shaman camp, easily kill that mid-gate to give themselves some extra team fight potential and some more escape if they try to go for the core.
Yeah, I got to take that well out. And also, taking out that turret would be really important just because you can...
They're just looking to pressure.
Oh, wow. Are they going to look... They're looking in. They aren't even going to let that Immortal situation happen, or at least just keep the pressure up. That's a good point.
Creeping. Mercenaries on the way top. Catapults on the way bot. Dig, though, way too safe. No overcommitment. They know they can wait this out. And the fact is, this will mean that the lanes are freshly cleared for the Immortal fight, or at least relatively freshly cleared. So they'll have a little bit more time to not worry about it. However, more mercenaries being taken, both going to be in the bot lane. and that's going to be rough for Dignitas.
One of the coolest things about the Shaman camp at this stage of the game is that the sooner you can catch it, the better. Capture it, the better. Unlike the rest of them, you want to time it perfectly. Now, because it's so far out, you want to get it as soon as possible so you can get the pressure of the catapults on the core before you even hit halftime show.
Yeah. So Dignitas, they now have their 20s. This is their best opportunity. They're trying to do a little bit of damage straight away onto L5's Immortal here. We see Falstad sneaking in. Greymane already prepared into position. Does huge damage. Falstad with the Epic Mount flying out, but that's prompted the rest of L5 to put the pressure on and forces Dignitas back.
Yeah, Curse Bullet was going to be used, and that scared enough out of Nacho Jam, but he does have the Epic Mount, which means he has the ability to more increased mobility here into the later parts of the game. But we don't see that here for Zheng Ha onto the Dahaka, opting more survivability here with his level 20 talent. So what was a double global threat is not the super level 20 edition.
Moved on to core. He's putting on some pressure. Snitch is basically on his own. Looks like we're going to see a fight onto the Dignitas core here. Noblesse going to focus down. The repulsion pushes Noblesse away. He's going for it. There is the cocoon used straight away. Jongha dropping low. The cost is so good. And Jongha and Noblesse will escape. Meantime, Genji's killing the core.
Yeah, 87% and counting. So now
Never mind.
Now that Dignitas responds, I love what we see here from L5. It's just essentially going, you know we have the upper hand that we were able to gain from those first couple of Mortal races, and now the rest of it is just we force your hand. You respond to the core, we respond to the Mortal. You respond to the Mortal, we're going to your core. I love when teams do this. It's personally one of my favorite forms of play. I would argue it could have been a little cleaner here from L5, but Dignitas still, though the core isn't down, their odds are going from slim to none.
Going down.
I mean, it's very rapidly.
Yeah, the core is creeping down. 75% currently. Genji being sneaky, just clearing the lane at every opportunity while attempting not to get caught out by Greymane. Greymane with that Guildmane and Roulette would be great if Dignitas could take a full team fight here, but L5 are not letting that happen. They are just playing the map.
They very much are. We see the camp pressure up through top. Falstad is showing. We haven't seen Dahaka actually pressure really anywhere for a long while. Remained invisible.
Try and get a kill. Was looking for Li Ming. Li Ming too far back though.
And now the members of L5 are going to focus onto this Immortal. Dignitas goes for the defense. Noblesse backs out, and they're all ending the core. They're just
going straight for it. Snitch is in position, but he's only drawing fire. He's delaying, but there's catapults here as well. Here comes Bakery trying to get SCSC. Catapults, though, taking it down. This is a disengage. Dignitas has to move on to deal with the catapults. Jongha, though,
but they got
taken out. Resets here. The cocoon is used.
They did it!
Takes down one. They need to get this as well. SCSC, he's dashing away. Looks like he will escape. Bakery wants him.
He wants blood. They look at the flank there. We see Li Ming and Arthas coming down. They're going to try and collapse onto the Swoy's, dropping the heals. He's got it. There's a root. Playmaker! Zalia on the wrong side. Eats the Twilight Dream.
So much damage onto Zalia, but he's Arthas. He's able to survive, and instead, they do take down Noblesse. Snitch is saving the game for his team. Greymane, one of the best teamfight heroes, is now just base defense.
He is straight up just clearing out all the minions the entire game, but now we see Team Dignitas with another opportunity to focus on to the Immortals. We have to keep in mind that, yes, we do see Dignitas with this Immortal, but again, it's going to a fort, which is going to a keep, and during this whole time, top is going to be pressuring out, so that's why Greymane is clearing that the most. And anytime, if Dignitas decides they want to try and end the game with this Immortal,
Greymane's coming.
L5 just goes core. They just go core. This is still a lose-lose scenario for Dignitas. And
unless they could do this, they want him. They get him. SCSC taken down. The cocoon finishes. They want Swoy, but he has too much health. He's able to fall back. Down goes the 4. Here comes Dahaka. Bot's dying, but there's going to be no more minions after Greymane clears this up. All Greymane has to worry about is making sure Dahaka does not end top lane.
Yeah, Dahaka. Oh man, this is such a tense moment here. I mean, it's legitimately an absolute miracle if Dignitas does this. They had to play so many moments near flawless, and they have managed to do so at least so far.
Nacho Jin gets cleansed and gets chunked down by Maida. The keep is going down. The Immortal still has almost all its health.
They almost did it here. And Falstad actually, or Dahaka, excuse me, ended up going back to be able to get the peel. Now Greymane is going to aggress towards the core. They go in, they get the knockup. They did it. They got Jongha. He's so low. He died. My goodness.
They've managed to take the first game after what looked like an unwinnable situation. We're seeing any attempt by Noblesse to try and save it. He's in the cocoon. That is going to be GG. And Dignitas take game number 1.
I legitimately cannot put into words how impressive the last 10 minutes of that game were on the side of Dignitas. I mean, I don't say this lightly when I say it's near perfect to be able to actually make that game recoverable against an amazing team like L5. Like, that is unheard of.
The amount of pressure that L5 put onto that core. Falstad constantly, Genji every now and again, Dahaka constant split pushing, while persistent harassment onto the core. And Dignitas still find a way, picking off SCSC, picking off Soy, picking off Noblesse. Just perfect use of a noob and that cocoon.
It's just, I honestly, I do not have words. It was so beautiful to see that from them. Staggering any death, responding to the core properly, and instilling fear into L5. You could see, as the game went from mid to late game, L5 constantly getting more desperate and realizing we might not have this. And Dignitas, it's just insane that they did that, turned around.
It really was. So we're going to head over to our analysis concave to see what our wonderful analysts have to say about this.
I don't understand. How does how does this kind of thing happen? Especially when it's Dignitas. Somehow, how?
I mean, I wish I had all the answers, but Dignitas down 2018. There's one key element to the last few moments of that fight, is that there's a little bit of RNG involved, despite the tremendous amount of plays that Dignitas made. If that Immortal, their friendly Immortal, went to Dignitas' side, allowing for the only proper defense you could possibly have.
Yes.
So a little bit of luck, but a whole hell of a lot of skill.
I mean, you can't discredit the discipline, though. Dignitas holding on at the end there. Snitch was in a position where if he dies, game's over. And yet he defended perfectly against double global, Falstad and Dahaka, constantly trying to do this tug of war, trying to break him down. Snitch was wonderful. The entire team on point, and Cocoon was a major nuisance that entire time.
I mean, this cannot be understated, that against a team like L5, a world champion, that was the most unbelievable comeback in Heroes of the Storm history. My mind is blown.
I walked out of the editing room. It's like, all right, we're going to do the L5 moment that contributed to their victory, right? They're the 95% upper dog. I come back here. I go back. I come back here again. I don't get it. Like,
it's unbelievable.
The amount of noise and energy in this room during the last 5 minutes of that game was unreal.
I've never heard L5 be so stressed out before. Those comms were incredibly loud. You just hearing them constantly yelling back and forth. They would yell Nubrak's name, never get the kill. It was actually very interesting to see a Korean team be under stress like that before. I've never seen it before.
But even from the start, from level 1 to level 12 onwards, they were very emphatic about all their calls. We've never heard them as vocal, both in the positive sense and the stressful sense.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. And as Jay Howe mentioned, to control some of those situations where they have both of their keeps down, they're making all the right decisions. L5 is pressured to finish out the game, considering their composition, etc. Unbelievable stuff. Grubby, I think you do probably have a replay for us.
We saw what we just saw. There's too many good moments, but let's look at this one as we just kind of slow this down. This is the moment where Dignitas is trying to turn it back. We pause it. Oh, what was that? Let's turn it back a bit, because Noblesse on Murden, as we can see here, as we just pause it for a sec, he took Haymaker, and I've been trying to figure out why did he Haymaker Greymane here. He kind of felt the engage coming from Anubrak over here. Anubrak was looking to do a target, and Greymane is the primary follow-up. So if we just play that slowly, we get that disruption. Murden recognizing he's not the primary target. Pause. All right, look. We see here Dahaka coming in from this bush here. This bush is the central key point to the attack and defense plan of L5. As we just kind of play it slowly forward, we're going to see a big all-in here coming out very soon. We see Dignitas trying to apply pressure. They know double global is on the side of L5, so they're looking to make something happen with their level 10. As we just pause it here, this is where it all starts. And we've seen Dignitas at their best. And this is kind of where we see them at their worst as they try to make this one work. We see the big all-in on Arthas. We go for that attack. In comes the Divine Palm from Bakery right over there. Divine Palm is enough to draw away the fire. But look at this. Pause. Dahaka, this is his power play, right? as long as he's in that bush, he's got bonus movement speed to strike out in any direction he wants to, and that makes a very happy Dahaka. But there's a little bit of aid here from Mene. Look at Mene. He's trying to be good guy Mene. Look at the wave of force that's coming out. Zelia, he goes away to safety, but look at this, Snitch. For all intents and purposes, he seems far enough away, but the wave of force pushes Dahaka close enough, precipitates the beginning of the end in this team fight for Dignitas, and Snitch says, thank you very much, Mene, but never again. And indeed, it never really happened again, because after this, Dignitas evolved to excellence. Even though they were the 5% underdog, in my opinion, on the rest of the game. Going up against Double Global, the pressure was on. This was the most shining moment in the moment of L5. They get a lot of kills here. Now, we really see here Genji going ham, getting those kills.
Yep.
And finally, yeah, that big lead that Dignitas fought all game long to try and conquer back.
Crazy stuff. Really, like, just a ridiculous game that we saw. A ridiculous fight over and over and over from these guys.
The last 5 minutes of the game, you could probably spend about an hour breaking down every single movement.
All right, let's go.
Stop him.
But Dignitas had the miracle defense. You already said that probably is the best comeback against the best team.
Yeah.
Which we're all sitting here just mesmerized by how well they play. I'm still in shock.
That's one way to describe it. It was nothing short of phenomenal in game number 1. As we now go into game 2, we are going to be on Cursed Hollow between these two. We get another game. That was only match number 1.
That was L5. That was L5's map pick too. This is now Dignitas's.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that Dignitas plays to their strengths. Their drafting, we all sat up here and talked about their drafting in the first game. Their drafting was, I don't think it was possible to have a better draft and ban for their team.
I think it's amazing. Like, what we saw yesterday from Team Dignitas wasn't special. There was not really anything inspiring or anything like that. They're this team of fluctuating highs and fluctuating lows. It's crazy to think about. So, but going on to Cursed Hollow here, guys, what are we expecting? Are we expecting something out of the ordinary from Dignitas to try and put themselves in a 3-point position for this series? I mean, imagine if they did beat L5 2-0 here in the group stage. I think that would be a pretty big statement.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy if it did come their way, but